Okay, what I'm attempting to do here is I want to show some comparison plaster casts of some Sasquatch prints that I casted August 29th. Now what we have here is we've got 3 prints. The one in the middle is my own print. And it's just in comparison, and there are certain things I want to show people that you may not see because no one's going to believe they're real. So what I wanted to do was just basically show some things here. Print number 1. Let me zoom in. Print number 1. First of all, this area here where the laser pointer's at, that was a rock. Okay, this print was found underneath a bridge. There were several prints, 3 particular sizes, and the foot in the mid section here just kind of embraced the rock. And what I want to focus on is, if you look right here, I believe these are ridges in the animal's skin on its foot, right there, and one below here. And if you look, it seems to correspond where this rock was going on both sides here. The foot kind of cupped over this rock that was partially buried in the mud. Unlike a human foot, this has a slight bend to it. Now, I also want to show the front is this toe here. It seems to have a ridge in it. Right there, the big toe, there's a ridge right there. And that looks like it was a ridge of skin, but I'm not really sure. Now, when I did find these prints, it was the toe that set me off. And I blew anything that I saw in the way that would cause me to think that would interfere with the print. So basically, you got the big toe, there's the other toe, there's the other toe, and then the small toe there. Okay, and if you look at this wide pad here, unlike my foot there, okay, I've got a wide pad too, but it's not like this. It's not quite like this. This is a big circular pad, and also the way the toes are aligned are different than mine. Now, we are roughly the same size foot. I'm a size 10.5, 11. Oddly enough, this happens to be the same size. So I don't know, how big this individual was, but it definitely has very strange features, different than my foot. If you go over to my foot here, you'll see that my foot has got, I'm flat-footed. So the other cast here, this is flat-footed too, but flat-footed is not good for a human being. I got problems with my feet because of this, and you can see the lack of my arch here. This cast was produced under ideal conditions. I took some modeling clay, some potter's clay, and laid some out and just stepped in it, so you can see the pattern of my foot, the ridges of my foot. Unlike this guy who was in mud, and even though it was fine mud and you could pull out some detail, these lines here intrigue me, because I am pretty sure that those were not cracks in the ground, or they weren't any vegetation laying around. I mean, there's certain spots here where there was some grass laying across the print and stuff, and I'm familiar with that. And if you look at this, at the side of the print and how it's laid out, you can see that he's got a very flat foot, and that pad just sticks down, and you can see where his weight went down on the front of the foot versus the heel. Sorry about moving the camera in and out. I'm not used to doing this. unlike me, there's my foot. All my weight goes down on the heel. Now this other cast is in the same spot. It was on the other side of this bridge. What makes this one so interesting is that this is how the print was originally. Okay, just like this, in the ground. This animal stepped in some really deep sand mud mixture, and what you have here is you can see the incline, that angle that the foot was on. It slid sideways. Okay, so basically what you have here, let me get this pointer. This is the big toe here. This is the next toe, that one, this one. And I know this foot looks a heck of a lot more human, but you can't see the side of it real well. I don't know why that was, the mud was soft. I don't know why the rest of the foot wasn't there, but you can see that this is a slant, this arch here. This foot twisted dramatically in that substrate, and these toes aren't normally this long. If you look, okay, those are the pathways the toes took as the animal slid into the mud. Okay, my thumb is on the bottom of the big toe when it came to rest. You can see the pads of each toe as they came to rest, but you can see those long indentations in between where it was a long path that it took as it sunk deeply into the mud. Okay, there's a different angle. Hold on. There's the angle of the foot with the big toe being right there. And you can see that the twist that this creature has with its ankle. Now, I don't know if a human being's foot can twist and contort like that. I really don't know. That's up to the experts. But if you look at that ridge down on the bottom right-hand corner, that's the large toe. Okay? So as the animal steadied itself, you know, and that's level, you're basically looking where that back part of the whole foot shifted and went to the left. Now that was the side facing the water. If I was walking that way and I shifted that way, I'd be trying to brace myself against something so I don't fall. That's what I would be doing. If I sunk like that, I automatically know how I would react. Now whether how this is or not, I don't know. And I don't know if and you can see that that is sand in those in there, embedded in the cast. But just for comparison, you have these three shots, these 3 feet. I suspect the one on the far right is a different individual than the one on the left. But I could be wrong. There were 3 different individual sizes there. One was a small footprint about the size of a toddler. And there was a larger size than this, but they weren't castable. But I made these 2 to show just the difference in the anatomy. And I personally see it being very evident. This is a large toe pad here, or a heel pad, or ball of the foot's a large pad here, versus what we have. Ours is a lot different, and our toes seem to be different as well. And then I know the heel didn't sink in quite as far because the ground was firmer. And then the best thing is this rock, where you had this rock here. So I'm going to let the experts decide what these little ridges are, since I don't know. And I'm guessing it's from the animal's skin on the sole of its foot. Yes, and believe it or not, there are experts that know that. And then, once again, on the top of the toe. So only experts in primate feet are going to know that. So Anyway, that's my little educational thing with Sasquatch footprints. Whether you think they're real or not, I happen to know they're real. I know the experts don't think that they could ever be in Illinois, particularly just outside of Chicago. But these prints were found in farm country below a really remote bridge. The whole time I was there, not a single car even came down. And to make it even more interesting, it's a dump bridge. It's a bridge where people just throw stuff over the edge into the water. And there were no signs of human activity underneath the bridge at all. There was no wrappers, there was no fishing tackle, there was no discarded anything. And I thought this was interesting too here. This spot here, this indentation is where there was a rock. There was a rock there as well. You can see that right here. Small rock fit right inside there when I made the cast. So the animal's foot sunk next to it. It must have a thick pad to be able to do that. This is just excess here. So if I hold it up like this, it looks much more like a footprint when I hold that excess on there. So I just thought it was interesting to point out the differences between that and the human foot. Thanks for watching.